Hello, everyone, and welcome to a live stream that I am very excited about today. Before I forgot it, let me initially switch to the other view already before I forgot to do that later on. We are having a look today at Strezov Sampling's brand new Jade Ethnic Orchestra. It is currently still on intro sale for 349 euros. It is insanely huge in the amount of content, so we definitely take a very close look today at what's included. If you have questions to any of the content to the library, etc., we also have the team from Strezov Sampling in the chat today. So hello, George, and Robin, I think, is there. So if you have any questions, feel free to shoot them in the chat, either on Twitch or on YouTube. Should appear in the video from both ends. And yeah, what can I say? The release is imminent, so to say, as far as I understood. Native Instruments is currently encoding the library, so it will go out pretty soon. I think they announced the date. It's May 11th. Yeah. So the pre-order is on till May 11th for you to get the library. And another random act of kindness, Strezov Sampling provided one free NFR copy for you guys to win. So as usual, all we got to do is leave a Facebook comment on my CWVI page, which this is the link for. So leave a comment on that Facebook post, and we utilize a website called Random Comment Picker. And you see the URL, the post here. And if I check just now, we have 23 individual comments. It doesn't help if you comment 10 times, it will only count one entry per person. So there is no way of doing that multiple times. Actually, let me open up Twitch as well to be able to post the link there. I forgot to do that. Sorry, bear with me. And I need to mute the stream. There we go. So here you have the link as well. And also, in case you want to check out more of the demos and all that good stuff, you can also jump onto the website directly and also, of course, order it if you are interested in getting this beauty. I may be biased. I am. I admit that. But I really, 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 really love that library. It's amazing. But long talk, short story, or the other way around. What I want to do, I wrote a little demo for that library, and it was also posted today, I think, on the website. But I want you to show the demo before we actually jump into the library and the content, so you get an idea of what it sounds like or what I made it sound like. So first, listen to my demo for Jade Ethnic Orchestra. Please enjoy. All right, so that's my little demo that I wrote for the library. I started that on early beta patches, but I tried my best to actually, I did that just before the stream to change all the patches to the latest version. I think we're good with that now. If you guys interested, let me know. I can also do a run through of just the Jade alone without anything else. If you want to hear that, we can do that in a little bit. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Great track, Dirk. Well, great library, George. That's what I can say. So let's take a look at this beauty. It will be a panel library in the contact browser later down the line once the encoding at native instruments is done. It is not for now, so I have it in my list here with all the patches. So let's take a quick look at what's inside. So at least we know what we're talking about. I mean, you can read the list of instruments on the website of George as well, of Strezov sampling as well. Okay, you guys want a one-time only Jade? I do that in a second. Well, anyway, let's do the Jade only first and then jump into the instruments. What do you say? So let's mute the orchestra stuff that I had here. We can, if you're interested, we can digest later what the orchestra is doing additionally on this one. But so let me just mute. This is Jade. This is Jade. The low percussion is Jade. The guitar is not Jade, obviously, and I added some shouts from Strezov's Stormchoir Ultimate, which are not part of the library, so we mute that. So that is now Jade only. I mean, obviously still with some processing going on, like reverb and maybe some little bit of EQing and stuff like that, but it's actually not that much. We will look into that later. So this is another walkthrough or run through, this time Jade only. Please enjoy. So that is Jade only. I just showed the last patch because George told me that was kind of fun. He told me that is actually his favorite patch from the whole library, and I hadn't have that in that demo before, and I just put that in the end as an. And I give him that these harmonics are really beautiful. Um, so before we jump into deeper or dive deeper into the demo and see what is done with the instrument and how I treated effects and all that stuff. Um, so let's take a look at the general interface and what is included. So one of you guys made the comment that I don't need to go through every single instrument because there are already the walkthroughs on the website, which is true technically. So I'm with you on that. We should not just play every single instrument, but maybe just take 2 or 3 from every category so you get a feel for it. So we have bowed strings ensembles, Marine Corps, Erhu ensemble, 2 different sizes, Impressionist Erhu, Marine Corps, and Zhonghu. My Chinese is a bit rusty, so bear with me if I mispronounce any of these instruments. I apologize in advance. Uh, Thank you, Jinwa. Great job with the song. I like how it turned out, to be honest. Both ensembles. Then we have, and by the way, these come with usually pizzicato, staccato, and tremolo. As far as I read, there will also be an update later down the line, which includes like key switchable patches. Right now, these are individual patches. Then we have solo bowed strings, Banahu, Morincourt bass, Dani, Erhu, expressive Erhu. We will look at that later. Jingu, Morincourt. So there's just so much stuff. It's incredible. Pads is its own unique category. These are stemmed out into synth, organic, or synth effects, and I think percussion. Then we have the percussion based on the Extreme engine with a lot of content. We will look into that. Plucked strings is everything as the name implies. That is plucked. Pipa, Gukin, Lukin, Young Queen, Songran, Guzeng, all this good stuff. There's good stuff amount of voices, legato patches, syllable patches that are based on their well-known vocal engine that they have with Wotan, Freya, and Ava, and all these, or Rodope uses the same engine. Good stuff there. We look into that. And the winds section, last but not least, the walkthrough for that was posted yesterday, I think. So if you want to dive deep more into all the different individual instruments and what you can do with them, I highly suggest to check out the Strezov website to be more in the know of what is included in all these categories. So, but let's jump straight in. This specific patch, this contact patch, is routed directly to my stereo out, so there's no processing whatsoever going on. So this is the sound straight out of the box with no additional reverb, EQing, or whatever. This is plain the sound. So let's just well, what do we? Let's go with the Erhu ensemble to just take a look at the interface and what it's doing. So you have 3 mic positions. Close and Decker are the recorded mic positions from the studio in China, and then they ran the signal of these recordings through a speaker in their hall in Bulgaria and created kind of an artificial / real third mic position. So not from the player, but from the playback of the samples, which is a third mic position. The longs for the strings, for example, have key switches down here for sustain and tremolo. Enough talking. That's what it sounds like. That's what the patch sounds straight out of the box. There is an custom IR reverb on every patch that you can also decide to switch off if you want to use your own reverb. This is what the mic positions alone sound like. So let's check the individual mic positions. So that is just the close mic with no reverb. And you can just mention that sucking effect. So it is fully polyphonically playable. But when you play monophonic lines, this overlap function is really, really handy. If you turn that off, you get more of these legato transitions without the overlapping notes. But you still can play polyphonically. Well, at least the two notes. And when you have that overlap function on, and then it's true, if you have that multi polyphonic mode, you get a little bit of the sucking effect with the releases. I think it gets better when you turn the releases off. So, but yeah, for true monophonic lines, I really recommend, and they say that in the videos as well, to turn off the overlap function. Oh. It just makes legato more fluid. Then we have the Deca mic position. It's very quiet, sorry for that. Nathan, I just told when you activate the deactivate the overlap function, you don't have that sucking effect anymore. So anyway, let's go on. And as I said, that last mic is kind of an artificial hall mic, third mic position, which doesn't sound artificial at all. So, and then obviously you can mix your make your own mix depending on what and nice little function, you have these stereo width controls at the bottom here. So if you just click them and drag them, you can either make it more mono or more wide. So if we say we want to have that hall ultra wide and the close mic a little bit closer, and then it makes more sense, of course, with the panning slider here. So you can move the close a little bit to the left. So you can dial in a really custom sound with these three different mic positions. So that is really handy for that. Another thing, all the patches have this little cogwheel up here. that gives you a little bit more control on attack and release if need be. What I used in the demo here is actually the niente function. So sometimes I want to have patches that go all the way down to silence when you move the mod wheel. So the initial state is that you still have that sound when the mod wheel is all the way down. And when you activate the niente function, you can go from silence to sound. And blend that totally away. In my opinion, very helpful. So there is the velocity dynamic influencer, and honestly, I watched it on the walkthrough videos, but I forgot what it actually does. So George, if you can help me there in the chat, what that function is doing, let me know. There's also a help button that explains a little bit what we just talked about in detail before. So if you ever forgot what this is doing, that's where you can look it up again. So that was the Erhu 1 ensemble. Let's play that once more just to compare it to the Erhu 2. Oh, by the way, it's also the legato is really, really fluid, so you can actually do pretty cool lines. So I had that in the demo in the middle part where we do this. So that was pretty much all played live here in that section. Well, that was just the rhythm part. I think it was this part. Ah, there we go. I don't want this one. So you can play pretty fast and fluid lines. The legato is really good. Okay, so that we just got an info from George what that velocity dynamic influencing is doing. Pretty much for when you have, I mean, worst case scenario, just try it out. I turn it off, play the same thing. I move it on. Pretty cool, actually. It's a little bit more responsive, I would say, when you activate that function. So, again, the sound of Erhu 1, and let's compare it to Erhu 2. Now, let's load up the Erhu 2. Strezov, Jade, oh, come on, ensemble, Erhu 2. Boop, there we go. Turn the reverb off. Overlap function. So, I think that's it for the interface. So let's quickly jump on just a few sounds to get a little bit of an impression. There is an impressionist Erhu ensemble. which has like more like swells. Then more in cool ensemble. So that's the pizzicato section. So enough round robins to make it not machine gun like. And again, with these settings, with a release and attack, you can tweak the sounds even more, make them more dry, if you are inclined to do so. So you can get pretty dry with it, with the given controls. More on core sustain. And this is I mean, I loved Morin Cool all the before that library already. It's just such an haunting, amazing sound, and this is great to layer with regular string libraries to give them a little bit of an edge and make it a little bit more kind of ethnic without putting the ethnic hammer on top with instruments that specifically are bound to a region or something in the world. It just gives a little kind of flavor that really works great. So can actually show you that. So if you take the long strings, just lay down some chords. Let's say what do we have? Just something like that. I mean, I don't know if that works with the tempo. 3, 4. So there was no movement in the mobile right now, but I don't care about that right now. What we want to do is just lay that on top with the same chords. What? What? Why can I not hear a thing? Oh, maybe I should bring the volume up. Okay, there we go. So that's the plain string section. In case anyone was wondering, Cinematic Studio Strings, full ensemble patch, so nothing fancy there. But then we layer that on top. Where do we start? 2 bars in, okay. So let's just layer that on top. And if we actually make that a little bit quieter, you can hear it. Let me ride the motorway a little bit on these strings. And why aren't they tremolo all the time now? Because I forgot to put the key switch in the beginning. Yeah, there we go. So once more, let's delete the motorway data here. Put that on top. But it did not take my... Why not? And now it's doing it, I guess. Whoop, key switch gets there. Yeah, and you even hear the transition to the B down there with that slide. So the multi legato is even working on this one. So that just layered on top, and that it's totally dry. It's not totally dry. There's the reverb at least. So it's just a nice different sound compared to just the plain strings alone. So layering that with regular orchestral instruments gives you just a nice flavor that you wouldn't have otherwise. So let's go on. We had the strings ensemble, so let's take a look at the solo strings. There are some real gems in there. Just on a side note, so we don't forget about it, Strezov Sampling provided an NFR copy for one of you lucky guys or girls. So if you... No, not comment picker. Damn it. That is the page we use to determine who is going to be eligible to win this library. There you go. Comment there on that Facebook post if you haven't yet, and we can also check where we are. Right now we have 85 already. Ooh, that thing goes like warm butter, warm bread. That's what I want to say. So let's take a look at the solo instruments. We have, let's start with Banhu. Very short. So there's that. And then we have solo. And in the final version, there will also be pictures for the corresponding instruments, so you get some information about what's included and what's inside. As I said, I don't have all the latest patches. I worked with the beta version, so some of these are not finalized. You will have a nice picture in there. So I tried to hurry up a little bit. What I definitely want to show you, one of my personal favorite patches from this whole library, is the expressive. What was this one? Yeah, expressive Erhu sustain tremolo. This is amazingly playable. Okay, let's take the reverb off, bring the hall a little bit down. I have to be honest, I'm not a big fan of the hall sound, of this artificial hall sound, but that doesn't degrade the library in any kind of way, because it's just a matter of taste. And I mean, that's what you have the mixing for, to dial in the sound that you prefer and want to have. But if you have it dry with no overlap, then you definitely need a reverb on top of that. So what I'm going to do is just add a splosh. Who invented that word? A splosh of black hole, which is way too big for that, but it just sounds great. That's maybe a little bit extensive, so take the regular reverb. Bring that down a little bit. So it ranges from D I love the haunting tone of that patch. I mean, I love Erhu in general. It's just a great sounding instrument. Pretty much the Asian counterpart to the Western violin. But it just has such a haunting and beautiful tone. And they managed to capture that just beautifully. One thing that I did in the demo in the end of the track, there is no kind of portamento, but so like meaning slow slurs from note to note like you have in some other libraries. But the legato is actually that good when you play fast chromatic lines that you get kind of the same effect without the actual recording of it. So when I do this, the fast legato. So when you play fast chromatic lines, you kind of get that slurring effect, and it actually sounds like a decent portamento. No, not pitch bend. Pitch bend will always sound kind of strange with instruments that have a tail recorded. Although, surprisingly, it works pretty good. But as I said, so what you do for that slur sound is really this fast chromatic movement. What I mean is the scale changing. So we are still at the bowed instruments. We need to hurry up a little bit, otherwise we sit till this very evening here. So let's see. One more from the bowed string solo section. Let's take the Shonghu. Uh, there are no ethnic scales built into the instrument like that. You can change the scale to be a specific type of Asian or Middle Eastern scale. But for example, if you have complete control, you can kind of try to utilize that and or use any other third-party plugin to modify your playing to kind of other scales. And now we have reverb on top of reverb. No, we don't, because I switched it off already. Bring that down. As I said, I'm not a big fan of that hall sound. So that works pretty good. Hey, guys. Keep cool. Doggy's going crazy because someone's going by. As it is. Anyway, let's jump to the next section. What we haven't looked in detail yet is the percussion. So let's do that and see what's included there. It takes a little moment to load. It's based on their Extreme engine. If you have any other of their percussion libraries, you are familiar with that library. Comes with auto barks. Cheers to that. A hall mic is actually not meant to be isolated. It's more of a help to mix the library with orchestra stuff, something you would do with normal instruments recorded dry as well. Yeah, I totally get that. It's just, and it works great in putting it deeper into the space and aligning it with orchestra instruments. So I'm grateful that you at least provide the option. And I mean, in the end, that's what we have the 3 faders for, to dial in the sound that you actually like and want to have. So, quick tutorial if you're not familiar with the Extreme engine. So, you have 12 zones. Each zone represents, I think, 6 keys on a keyboard. And then you can put, when you click, close it. When you click on the corresponding zone, you can load the samples in there. Each zone has a pitch control, a transient attack and transient sustain control. You have global volume for the mics, and you have individual volumes for each sound that you load. You have a round robin selector. So when we load that first patch, and then you can see it turns white down here. Just to give you an indication, if we go to the next one and load this one, then you see the next section. And this is how you can kind of create your own percussion dial in your own percussion depending on what you need. So I just loaded the first few patches, and as you can see, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 notes per sound. So it's pretty much the same sound on every note. It's just you get the round robins, and it's just more easily playable. So you can not play everything on one key, but you can actually play on 4 keys. So that's a little bit more playable. And again, you have the individual mic controls on every single sound and overall for the whole patch. So that just close. And I think there is no reverb here. Close whole decker. You can have the same controls as on the other patches as well. Does the library include any multi-patches? No, not as of now. What do you mean? Key switchable patches, or what do you understand with multi-patches? Like the Symphobia multis or something, that is not part of the library. So second zone was the rim sound. Let's bring back the other mics. And then again, you have the pitch control, so you can bring the way down. Enhance the sustain, bring the transient attack down, and then layer that with the other one. Can drive that even more extreme. Yes, you don't have individual outputs per zone, but I mean, the easiest way would be to just load the patch twice and send that to the second output and use the same MIDI channel. So that way you can have can utilize different outputs. Let's reset that for a quick moment. No, the whole thing actually. Reset this. Go to zone 3 and just listen to some of the sounds. So we had this one, rim, side. Shouts. That reminds me a lot of old 70s Bruce Lee films. Can you bring that up? Foot stomps. Pause your Dropbox. Okay. If you say so. I don't have Dropbox. Do I have Dropbox running? No, not running it at all. Sorry, there was a little side note there. Then we have solo percussion. Ooh, sorry. That's a nice low one there. Etc. etc. So cymbals. So you can bring down the close on these. I mean, just bringing down the close already moves them further back into the room if you have them too up front in your face. Very nice stuff. Again, on the Strezov website, there are dedicated walkthroughs. I love that. I'm going to sample that and put it in the kitchen whenever lunch is ready. My wife can hit the button and we get this sound. So yeah, you can jump on the Strezov website and listen to all the sounds in detail. But let's go on, because we want to get some more work done and look into the demo and the sounds and how they're mixed and used, etc. One short look at the pads. So the pads are kind of stamped out, done by, yeah, there we go, Lyubomir Gorshev. I hope that was correct. Stamped out into synth, perk, and effects. So when you load a sound, which sounds great in itself already, but then you can say, okay, I just want to have the synth section of that sound. Or just the perk, all the effects. I used a few of these pads, well, not much, two to be precise, during the demo or for the demo. So that was, and I think I just used the effects section of this one. And in the end, I think I used this one. So these are little. I used to call these type of sounds cue starters. So they really can inspire a track just by loading it up and firing it up, and suddenly you see yourself in a new track that you haven't thought of before. I mean, usually you use this kind of stuff only on one single key. They're not meant to be playable instruments. You decide on a key, like go with E, and then that E sounds good. You usually don't play that like. Technically, you can, but it may not sound as good. And then we have some sci-fi stuff included as well. I hate the fact that Contact does not take the mouse wheel in lists. You always need to move it manually. Well, it is what it is. And these, by the way, are not only great for ethnic music. These are great trailer cue starters. And if you say, okay, these effects are a little bit too much for my taste, but I like the impact and the pad sound, then you just go with this. So pads, really, really great stuff. We have the percussion, we have the bowstrings. Let's take a quick look at the plucked strings. As with Balkan Ethnic Orchestra and also on their other guitar engines, these chord patches are meant to be to enhance rhythmic movement. So you have long sustains. Long sustains in the green area. And they kind of react to velocity, so the softer you play, the kind of less strings you hit. And when you interchange left and right, the blue and the green keys, you can get these kind of strumming rhythms. They may not be the most realistic thing in and of themselves, but in the context of a mix, they can work really great. So I had these chords. Where did I use them? Here in that section. So you hear that they react to velocity pretty well. And when you mix that with other instruments, I'm not sure what I did here. What did I do here? Okay, this was the one. So we did this. And I think then we also had, yeah, the strings on top. And when you, yeah, the more instruments you layer, the less the maybe not totally real sound of these strings moves into the background and just gives that rhythmic texture that works from strummed instruments. So there is the strummed instruments, and there's a few of them. There is the daruan um, chords. Then we have plucked strings. There we go. Daruan chords. Let's quickly check the guzheng. Guzheng solo sus and tremolo. How are the Kali for orchestral mixes? I love the Kalis. Honestly, that price that is attached to them is ridiculous. They are way more worth than what they actually cost. The pair of these is 250 bucks, but they sound like 50. I compared them. I had my business partners Adam A7Xs here and had them side by side and compared them because I was thinking of getting new ones on either Kali or I had Adams before and was thinking of getting the Adam A7X. And I decided for the Kali after the one-on-one test. And there's a price difference from 250 bucks to I think 1500 bucks. So they definitely did something right with these. Actually, I'm playing on the wrong patch. I wanted to play here. Little sequencing tip there. If you have these type of sounds, plucked sounds, uh, you always want to try to think like a guitarist on these. So don't lay down the chord straight, but like do this little strumming motion in the MIDI, like for example here. I always want to have this like. It just gets you more realism. I love the release at the end of the note. Sounds very. And in the module data, you can see what kind of creates this little rattling sound. So very nice sound there. Little tip on the side: if you are very new to music theory or you are not comfortable with music theory and want to try some Asian sounding stuff, the easiest way to start with it is don't use white keys. It sounds simple, and it is, because when you play just the black keys, you automatically have that pentatonic scale that is the basis for a lot of Asia. Well, I'm not proficient in Asian music theory, but for the Western ear, this is what makes it kind of sound Asian. I'm doing very much injustice telling that Asian music is just a pentatonic scale and you're done. That's very wrong. But for Western ears, that gives the impression of an Asian sound. So when you play the pentatonic scale, I play the white note, sorry. But yeah, so when you play just the black notes, you get that. So if we do that actually, so you can see it, so just the black notes. Moving that one half step up. And we are at the sound for the demo. So, sorry. There's that. So much for the plucked instruments. And last but not least, let's take a look at the winds. Oh, the voices. Voices first. So we have, I just do a quick walkthrough because there's a great video of the voices on the Strezov website. I love the overtone functionality. So this Tuvan throat singing or Mongolian throat singing works a lot with these whistling overtones in the voice and like singing two notes at the same time. And I don't know how they did it, but they included the green keys here that kind of lets you layer these overtones on the original note. That's really neat. I really like that. So we have man legato, whom I man syllable builder. I won't go too deep into how the syllable builder works, but there's a lot of tutorials on the Strezov website already. I love the blend function for the syllables. That sounds rad. Honestly, this is amazing. And also the long song quartet, the women, the way they sample their legatos, I loved it on Rodope already, but here it's like stepped up a notch. And also you can turn off the overlap here as well, so you get more smooth legato transitions. This is sonic gold. Whatever you did there, George, this is amazing. And you also have a soloist. Again, watch the walkthrough videos on George's website. Okay, I allow this message. YouTube just held back a message, but well, but pretty much that was my thought as well. Oops, not the strings. We are here. I can't get enough of these patches. And I mean, I faked a little bit. In the demo, I used the women for the line combined with the strings, and they work great together with the flute. We haven't touched the flute yet, but so when you listen to that together. And I did the same trick that I talked about earlier on the Erhu with these chromatic rundowns, which sounds a little bit like a portamento. It is not really like individual notes, but it's get this sliding feel. So it's just a testament to great legato sampling that it's working out great even for that kind of transitions. It's barely audible that you play actually. Especially when you bury it in the mix and don't expose it too much. So great way of working with these kind of instruments. Then the man, I was lazy with the man on my demo. They flew all the way in from Asia just to sing one note. And I think I used the syllable on this one. I think. Yes, I did. And had also these blending of the vowels. And these are, I think, a full note per syllable. So I just that way got some more movement in that sound. So that concludes the vocals. Well, very quick, to be honest. And last but not least, let's take a look at the woodwinds, as promised. And then we dive a little more into the demo. So we have DZ, Hulusi, Sheng, Suona, Xiao flute. There is a freebie on the Strezov website of a limited range version of the Zhao flute, I think. Again, when I play from this contact instance, these sounds are straight out of the box with no EQ, reverb, etc. So this is straight the sound you get. So when we turn the reverb off and don't overlap, let me bring that down a little bit. So, okay. And these sound great just with a close position as well. And that works great when you combine that. So you can kind of easily create your custom multis, so to say, when you combine the flute with the, let's say, with the Zhongru sustain. Put that on channel 1 as well. overlap off, reverb off. Keep the reverberant positions on these and then play both at the same time. Well, actually bring that back in and turn that down a little bit. It was too much. So, and this works great when you layer that with like Western strings, for example, violins for the main melody. I did that in the demo as well, but let me just lay down something quickly here. I really hope that I can remember what I'm playing there. So that is the flute and the zhonghu combined. Shouldn't be too complicated, but I can lay that. In this case, I have the Konmodo violin, which I used in the demo. It just works nice when you lay that together. Real, or not real, but Western kind of orchestral strings and these solo instruments from Jade. You can. What's missing is a little bit of harmonic content. So let's. When is the raffle? You guys can wait for it, huh? Soon. I can promise you that. So, I mean, you get the idea. So it's just very easy to lay it stuff together and come up with very nice sounding ideas pretty quickly. So let's delete this. Again, I don't think we need to look into any more patches. If you're interested in more info on what patches and what they sound like, just have a look at the walkthroughs on the Strezov website. I'm just leaving the link here again. Yeah, actually, it was really a Jurassic Park vibe. That's true. Hey, Cyrek, didn't see you there. And regarding the giveaway, let's look at where we at. I'm just posting one more time the link to the Facebook post where you can leave a comment, and we will draw a random winner after a little bit. Right now we are at, and I'm guessing maybe we're hitting 3 digits today. That might be one of the highest numbers we ever had. Yes, 108. 108 people wanting to grab the copy of Jade Ethnic Orchestra. Nevertheless, if you're not lucky at the end of this stream, you can always jump over to the Strezov website and still grab it at introductory offer or pre-order pricing, which was extended due to a little bit of a delay in the delivery from Native Instruments. So now release date is May 11th. Yeah, guys, what can I say? If someone is not on Facebook, there's nothing I can do about it. Either you find someone who is on Facebook and quickly let them put down the note, the information. But I mean, there must be a way to do it. So it's going to be Facebook. That's what has worked so far. And then I can only say, sorry. Get on Facebook. Then you can get a chance of winning. So I want to close this off, get rid of this instance here. And take a little bit of a closer look into the demo of what is going on here and what I used and what I did in terms of mixing. This also applies to some of the other instruments. I did a playthrough of the no Jade version. Maybe we also just take a quick listen to what I added to the Jade sounds. So this is pretty much everything that is not Jade that was added to the... That's not true? No, it is true. The cymbals were not Jade. Yeah, it's very quiet in the beginning for all the non-Jade part. Yeah, but I wanted to enhance the melody with some more strings, at least in the second round. Bringing in some horns. This is Junkie XL brass. Without Jade, it actually has a pretty pirate vibe. So for the strings, that's just Cinematic Studio Strings ensembles. I was very lazy here, so I just used the ensemble patch and let it run. Good enough. And it sounds great. I mean, if it sounds good, you don't need to change anything. And I think the rest is all Jade. So, I mean, I needed a little bit more beef in this section in the middle. I wanted to get that little bit of Kung Fu Panda, Dragon, John Powell vibe there. And it worked pretty great. But I mean, in this section, maybe the other instrument carry most of the power. But I still think that Jade sounds pretty great on its own as well, especially in this section when you turn off the other instruments and just use the Jade stuff. I think it sounds really, really decent. I think I forgot to mute the guitars. Anyway, so this is just Jade in that same section. So actually, let's take a quick look what's actually going on. So as I said, I used 2 of these pads for the intro, just the pads. Now the whole thing is centered around D minor. Starting without the percussion on this pad, just the synth and effects section, and I muted the percussion on this one. And I brought in, again, the man were just flown in from Asia for one note. So that's that. Then I think I have some tremolo going on in the Liquin. I think that's the name. I think I undid my deleting of the contact instance. Okay, keep it there. So the Liquin. And again, mod wheel goes all the way to niente, so I come from 0 and can bring it down to 0. Then Xiao flute is just doing a little. And also that fall in the end is done with just with the pitch bend. So there is no samples for that, but if you just record some pitch bend, works pretty good. So that's the intro. And on the cymbal side of things, I just, when we looked at the percussion, I did that here. I tuned down the lower one, I think. Yeah, I tuned that down a bit. No, that's the down-tuned one. But I still needed some beef, so I added just Metropolis Arc 2 Boom. Because I need a little bit more beef there. So then we get to the main melody. Let's solo that part here again. But the raffle is coming in approximately 10 minutes. Okay, so for the middle part, that more high energy part, again, I tried to show a little bit of a different side of the library with how it behaves in faster paced surroundings and scenarios. And I have to admit, some of these, I mean, I'm not aiming for full on realism here. Some of that is not as real individually, but sometimes it's the sum of the mix that sounds, not the individual parts. So, but just so you know what's in here. So I went with the low Morincourt. They're pretty beefy. So I just increase the volume there over time. The Zhonghu solo is playing, that sounds a little bit artificial on its own. So that is that. Then it gets duplicated. Yeah, that's the fun one. That's the DZ Piccolo. I want to see the player who is forced to play that. Gonna be fun. We had that rhythm patch before. So that is fine. And then so that works good as well. And together they sound pretty cool just on their own. Why is it playing the solo? I I think it's this one. Yeah, that one. Yeah, and then we just add on top. It gets more and more. That's actually a fun section. I was thinking quite a bit on how to do that. This is what the layered strings on top there sound like. Let me turn that up a little bit because I thought it sounded very funny, very Asian. I like that. Let's see what we have. What have bought this library just for wins? Can you show your mic and verb settings for the DZ, please? Yeah, of course. The DZ was the. It totally makes me dizzy. Bum. DZ piccolo staccato. So I even left the. Honestly, for the most part, I left all the patches on their initial settings with a close, decker, and hall. Actually, what I did for the most of them is turn off the reverb. I don't know why that was on right now. It should sound like this. So that's the staccato. In terms of mixing, there is not much happening. All the tracks have virtual mix rack inserted with a virtual channel set to the Neve. This is applies to all the channels, and on some of these I have some compression or mixing. I don't even know if I had anything on the strings. Yeah, okay, the strings, for example, have a little bit of high-end boost. That's what they sound without. I think this raise at 12 kilohertz is really what makes them shine. So, use a subwoofer. Yeah, my subwoofer is lying behind me. No, I do not have a subwoofer. I just use the Kellys on their own. They are very low end oriented. The mix was done on both. So I work a lot with headphones at night, but check every now and then again with the Kellys. I do have where's my control room? If you look at my control room, if you can, I do have my Sonarworks on my headphones with a curve adjustment and everything. And you are not listening to this audio channel, so don't worry. You don't have the Sonarworks influence signal. You have the clear signal from the monitors. So just so you know, so I'm mixing a lot on headphones, and I really love the way Sonarworks sounds with my DT990. So there's that. And in terms of harmonic structure, let me just give you a brief overview of what I did there, just so you know what we're talking about. Where is my piano? I don't even know. Okay, I have a piano loaded. So the plan was to not have all patches playing at once. So can we please? Okay. There we go. So starting, the whole cue centers around D minor to A minor. And then I really like the idea of having like a non-defined chord So that's a G sus2, and from the scale here would be a G minor. But since I leave it open, and the intention is actually a G major there. So I like the idea of having a major in that F scale. So that's pretty much the chord progression there. D minor to A minor to G major, which actually is a G sus2, to B major. So the tracks get bigger. Yeah, that's a function Cubase. It is under preferences, project and mix console, and there you have enlarge select track, and that pretty much does that. So it enlarges the selected track based on your selection. So when you do bigger, then it stays bigger. There we have that. Do you have Sonarworks enabled outside of your DAW? Yes, I do have. I have Sonarworks, but only on my headphone channel. So right now it's on because I have this set to my headphone channel, which is 3 and 4. If I put that back to my babyface speakers, then it's off. So it's only on my only active on my headphone channel. There we go. No, not aided. That's my headphone. So, Carlos, yeah, unfortunately, I know you're tired and you want to go to sleep, but I mean, it's a friggin' 500 euro library that is available. And if you happen to win, you will get a message from me afterwards anyway. So, fingers crossed, good luck, sleep well, stay healthy. So, D minor, A minor, G minor major kind of hybrid, B major. That's the basic chord progression for the main melody. And in this case, the melody came after the chord progression. So I first came up with the chords and then put the melody on top. That's the moment where I actually define that it's a G major because the horns jump onto the B here, which works pretty great in that surrounding, I feel. And now to the B. And then we come to the breakdown part. And first thing here was to have the percussion doing a little bit more leg work. But listening now, I just realized I was pretty lazy on this one. I could have even done more and sparkle it a little bit more. But I mean, come on, it works with the rest of the demo, well, especially with the strings. So that's just the strings, but let's focus on Jade. But we had that section already, so just doing a little bit. And moving in. Actually, this part. I actually trained that to play that live, so I get a little bit of more feel there. And it just gets duplicated by the Erhu ensemble here. Can we? And that just works fantastically together with the short orchestra strings. So there's that for the short strings. Funny enough, that chord progression here is actually more Celtic than Asian. I mean, it's the same chord progression that we had in the beginning, it's just a different melody on top. I mean, I'm changing to C and B on the second run there. But other than that, it's the same as in the beginning. One thing that I also want to mention, I started with 160 BPM, but that was a little bit fast for that faster part, so I just went down to 150 once we go into the drum section. And the thickness of the sound actually comes through layering a bunch of stuff. So we have the if you translate that to Western terms, the violas and the violins, which is the Zhanghu and the Erhu ensemble. And you see all the little difference in the notes in the playing there. So I really believe that it helps a lot to play in live as much as possible and leave tiny gaps, etc., to have a more natural feel instead of deadly quantizing everything to the very last bit. So if you feel proficient enough to have a little bit of movement in your fingers on the keyboard, try to play in live as much as possible. It just helps with the overall realism. So especially when you have instruments that respond as well as good to the input. So honestly, I mean, if you send that to an orchestrator, you get one left and one right afterwards, because that's pretty messy overall. But it just sounds great, and that's what all I care about. Is all what I care. Bleh, I talk too much. Is all what I care about. So if it sounds good, it is good. Carlos, you wanted to go to bed. Yes, main piano is the grandeur. So, and then what I did, I layered this section with not with a staccato, with a Zhao flute. So when we saw these, it's playing the same thing. It's just another layer. It sounds like Kung Fu Panda. Could you please not say that publicly? Because before I wrote the demo, I listened to the Kung Fu Panda soundtrack to get some inspiration. But it's fine. I think it's still not the same and very different. And yeah, then we layer the chord guitar patch into underneath the sounds a little bit funky on its own, but when you add the bass morancourt underneath, so this is just Jade, nothing else. added the choir women and even the man. Wow, I didn't know that. Okay, the man in there as well. To put that on top. I mean, the choirs are just extremely playable and react fantastic to just playing it in. You see again, not quantized, just hacked it in, and this is what the choir alone sounds like in this section. Actually, it's pretty fun. I didn't listen to that part before on its own. The only thing that I realized I changed this part of the melody. Yeah, I remember that now. When I wrote that part of the melody here, I changed the initial melody I had in mind because I utilized the F, but the choir didn't sing the F. So I had to change the melody to adapt to the range of the instruments. I think I just want to go from ma na, na. Yeah, I wanted to, but the F was not there, so I had to change that to the C. So it's not there, so is the first note guy layered in there too? The one note, the solo guy? No, that's not in there. Maybe it sounds like Run Free by Percussion? I hope not. But I mean, you never know what your influence is drawing from. Yeah, and then I just felt that the shouts for that big section here. I mean, if you listen to the brass on its own, it's a pretty beefy section. So, and especially together with the strings, this is pretty solid. And so I felt that the choir was a little bit underwhelming for these shouts and screams. So I just added the Storm Choir Ultimate shouts to beef the whole thing, the whole section up a little. Etc. etc. So, and then that's what the whole thing sounds like. Well, actually, when we do this, so. And the whole last section I actually just added because I definitely wanted to include that solo erhu. And again, in the end, this kind of fake portamento with a chromatic run. And I also, honestly, I love the plucked instruments. If you put these together, we have the Morin core. There's the plucked ones. Just the plucked instruments alone, if we listen to these, I love that sound. Yeah, it's the expressive erhu. It just sounds great. I could do a track just with these plucked instruments and the solo erhu alone. Done deal. No, the erhu is not phrase based. It's a playable multi-sample instrument. So, quick comment on the reverbs that I used. I don't know if I did any process. Yeah, I did a little bit of EQing on these plucked patches. So on the strumming patch, I think I loaded a guitar type of preset for the slate. Yeah, you hear the low cut. I think it's mainly for the low cut, and this distressor is actually just there for catching any peaks, which is not very likely on this specific instrument. Again, just a low cut on the Duquesne at right around, yeah, pretty much everything is low cut at around 100 hertz. I always do that unless the instrument specifically needs to sit in that range. And sometimes I forget it, like on this one. And the chords, now we look again. I didn't have any settings on the chords because they sounded great from the get-go. So there's that. Let's look. No phrases in the library, exactly. Awesome track, well done. Amazing job, Strezov. I agree with that wholeheartedly. George, Robin, guys, Strezov sampling with that library, I think you've outdone yourself. It's plainly amazing. But I want to talk about reverb. So all these ethnic instruments have 3 different reverb settings that I can utilize. Let's take the solo erhu. I do have a general ethnic reverb, which is the same as my orchestral reverbs, where I send the strings to. And that is, in this case, Valhalla Vintage Verb with a large random hall preset. When you initially load it, it comes actually with a 70 setting, but I prefer the modern sound. Mix it 100% because it's a cent, of course. So that's the sound, and when I add the reverb, and then for some of the patches, I have the black hole reverb just in case I need some endless. In case that's needed. There's not a lot of instruments that use it, but I do have a I think it's a repeater from Native Instruments, just a regular delay. Sometimes a delay is better than a very mushy reverb to create some space without clashing everything and having all that reverb tail going through all the frequencies. So a delay helps to still create a sense of space without cluttering the whole tail with the reverb signal. So there's that. That's pretty much for the reverb settings. And I mean, on the strings, I don't want to go into too much detail on the mixing side of the strings. I can. So just a little bit of low cut, high end boost on the Conmodo strings. On the ensemble strings, I think we showed that earlier. Just a little bit of compression overall, a little bit chine in the 12 kilohertz range. The horns have nothing on them. Trumpets, I don't even use them. Oh, I do. Just low cut. So I'm going to listen to the brass alone. Yeah, on the trombones, I actually do like the Shep 73 and push the drive a little bit on the input so they get a little bit more grit. And then nothing else on the... Do you fancy writing a tiny piece live? What time is it? I can't promise anything. We are jumping on the... I mean, when we do the giveaway in 5 minutes, everyone will leave the chat anyway. Unless they have won. So I don't think that I will write something like with it. Maybe I do a night session anytime soon where I'm going to do a little bit more writing on this one. But for today, I wanted to focus on the demo that I've written already. So on the horns here again, we have also a little bit of drive in the pre-gain, and then nothing on the mix rack. Trombones. Actually, these were all. I think that were the what was it, Caspian trombones, but I changed to JXL later on. I had to fake a little bit of the runs here in that section with the winds. That is Hollywood winds. So that just helps a little bit. I also included a rip on the horns to really get that impact. And when the strings come in, I think that really works great together. Oh, come on, what did I do? I wanted to have just the orchestra. Thank you very much. Maybe get rid of the violin. So that sounds pretty great. And the high rips on the woodwinds definitely help to bring a little bit more impact together with the shouts from the choir. So last but not least, if we solo these guys and add brass. Why you no working? Brass, woodwinds, and then yeah, the shouts pretty much give it the rest. By the way, that's I mean, we're not talking about other libraries here, but you can actually see that Conmodo works great in fast runs as well. So that's nice. Just on a side note. Yeah, that pretty much concludes the walkthrough of the demo and the walkthrough of the instruments. Be sure to head over to the George Strezov website. You can get George. How long is the pre-order with a pre-order price of $349? Is it till May 10th, or anyway? So you can get the library over there, and we will look into the giveaway right now. Let me play that track underneath. Turn that down a little bit. Oh, in a time. So again, this is the link to the Facebook post. By the way, now is the last chance to enter for the giveaway. How much is that in US dollar? Currently $379 in US dollars. So yeah, that's the link for today's giveaway. You leave a comment on this Facebook post, and then you are one of many others that have posted on this Facebook post. And we have 124. That's officially the highest number of participants we ever had for a giveaway. Though that's no wonder, because it's just a great product. Thank you, George and team at Strezov Sampling, for providing an NFR copy for one of you guys. I just realized how encouraging that track sounds once you get into a giveaway or something. The power of music, I like that. Anyway, what we want to do is... thanks, George, for being in the chat. Thanks, guys, for watching and for your question and your comments. And let's stop talking. Let's have one of you guys scream in happiness. You ready? There we go. There we go. Timon Vtko. Unfortunately, I may not be able to pronounce the last name correctly. Vishko? Vitsko? Anyway, Timon, I will let you know and get you in touch with this team at Strezov Sampling. Congratulations on a free copy of Jade Ethnic Orchestra. And for all you other guys that have not won it and are interested in jumping on board, use the introductory price. It doesn't get cheaper than this, at least not for a foreseeable future. So get on. What can I say? Thank you so much for watching, and see you around. Stay safe, wash your hands, talk soon.